Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Realnesss with 3 S's. We are doing our Cheesecake, Big Brother Cheesecake 4 podcast. It's the end of week 3 into week 4, and we have our eviction episode with the Miss Lynn. Lynn, you're here with us today. Obviously, I have Jojo here, and we have Jonathan here to speak with you, and we're all really sad that we're having this interview with you today. But how are you doing?
Yeah. I'm okay. I knew it was coming after Jack blew up the one group. It was coming.
Do you think that you would have had a better shot at staying if he hadn't have done that?
Yes. Nobody knew that I was on the other side of the house with them until Jack blew it up.
Were you playing both sides, or were you just under the radar?
I had an alliance with Curtis and Ryan since the 15th of April, so like right from the beginning. And then when the musical chairs got blown up, I saw that Ryan was the admin of that group, and so it was just like, loyalty and transparency, really? And it just fit. So when Jack had invited us into that, he didn't even ask if we wanted to be a part of it. He just like invited us in. And by that point in time, Brandon was already creating friction and, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I thought Brandon was probably the mole, so I wanted to stay close to him. And after Jack blew us up, then somebody was nice enough to let us go see all the comments in the musical chairs. And it was just like, boom. There is a leader in the house, and there's a bunch of lemmings in the house because they're playing follow the leader. They are not playing their own game.
Do you want to name
and I never voted once the way everybody else did. I voted the way I wanted to vote because I'm not a follower.
Okay, so to be clear, who is the leader? And in your opinion, and who do you think the leader has kind of in their wings as well, like right underneath them?
The leader is a toss-up between Ryan and Catherine, or Kat.
Mm-hmm.
In the wings are Lindsay, Megan, Nick, and then and Brazil. Well, Brazil wasn't in the musical chairs, but she is definitely on their side of the house. A little bit more independently because she's down in California, so she's never awake when we're like a lot of the chats and everything are going down.
Yeah.
Brandon was on that side, and so was Ashley, but Ashley was definitely playing both sides of the house. And then Brandon came over to our side, and like I said, not our side, that's when I went over, is because Brandon had come over and Jack had invited us in, and it was just like the way he was creating havoc, I thought for sure he had to be the mole.
And do you still think this at this point?
No. He wouldn't have taken himself off the block.
Fair enough.
Right? I'd still be there. Supposedly, I was a pawn. Thank you, Curtis. And then Ryan blew up Curtis's game, threw him under the bus this week, and told me that Ryan knew about musical chairs. And I called Curtis on it, and Curtis says Ryan's lying. So I don't know which one of those two, but I definitely got duped.
Yes, Lynn. Spill the tea.
Who do you think is responsible then for your demise this time around?
Ryan.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
he said it right out. I called him an enemy when I was in that group with Jack and Brandon. And Brandon was like, who should we get rid of kind of thing? And I'm like, well, Ryan, he's the enemy. He's got free and clear, not get rid of, but cause havoc to, because Brandon could Brandon had something, I don't remember, but Ryan's got a free pass for 9 weeks. He's the enemy, man. Like, make his life miserable in the house until the end, because like he's just sitting pretty. Yeah, and that's what killed me. Ryan said right to me, yep, you called me the enemy. Sorry, didn't want it to be this way, but you're gone. And I was gone.
Wow. Well, what was your strategy going into the game?
Be friendly with everyone. Before the game even started, I'd sent a welcome message to everybody, looking forward to, once everybody was told who was in the house, sent them all a message saying, hi, you know, nice to meet you, hope to work with you, how's it going, yada, yada, yada. And about, I don't know, I got three quarters of them replied. Megan got mine partway through the game because I guess because you're not a friend on Messenger, right? You're just like when Jonathan tried to, you know, reach out to me yesterday, it was just like you have to know where to look or you'd miss someone reaching out to you. And same with Lindsay. Lindsay didn't know right off the top either. Brandon was too busy with work, so he didn't reply right away. But it was all good.
How did you get involved with Cheesecake, Lynn?
Andrew and I know each other from Big Brother Canada.
Okay.
I go in the audience all the time.
Yeah.
I've
seen photos, yes.
And we went down to the nightclub in Niagara Falls to see them after the Big Brother. And Andrew was first in line with Tiffany. And my friend and I were second in line. And we were there like an hour and a half or so way too early. I figured there'd be like a lineup down and around the corner, and it was like 4 of us. So we just started talking and getting to know each other. Ryan was a little, Andrew was a little, in my opinion, shy around the French guy. What's his name?
Oh, Will?
Yeah,
no.
maybe it was.
You Will?
I just met him last summer, actually.
The summer before. So he was a little shy about wanting his picture taken with him. So I just went right up to him and said, hey, you know, and boom, I got this really nice shot of them together. And
cute.
That was that.
Have you and Andrew gone to live tapings together?
Andrew doesn't like going.
Oh, I mean, I went to one and I won't go back. It's a long day. And they're not very comfortable seats.
I don't know. I guess because I work in the industry, I've met some of the people that work there that like I know. Yeah. And I just have fun. Like Arissa's always saying hi and thanks for coming because they recognize the pink hair. Like it's you know. It's something to do. Andrew said he was going to go to the last one, and then they canceled it. And I was already I would have been there that day.
Yeah, I went to the premiere actually for that.
I was there.
Where were you seated? Were you in the middle?
Yeah, we were sitting. I was sitting on the floor. Actually, front row floor.
Because
front row floor because my sister-in-law, no, I guess my niece-in-law to be, had to use a walker. So we went in the back and through the whole back of the studio to come in because she couldn't really do stairs.
Yeah, well, we were there, so we were in the back, like the third row, in the front center. Okay. But you can fangirl. Like I went to high school and middle school with Arissa, so she's a year older than me, and so nice. I've known her my whole life basically. She's was an art major. I was a dance major.
Oh, cool! So, I was a drama major at university.
Oh, which university? Oh, I love artsy people.
University of Calgary.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. And you were saying that you're in the industry. Do you mind just?
I'm a production assistant for the locations department. So if I'm on the set, I'm glorified gopher, kind of sort of almost. You're doing everything to make sure that they can get that scene in place.
Oh yeah.
And when I'm not on set, I'm the person that helps them get the locations by going door to door and asking people, you know, we're filming at 11 p.m. tonight, which is against city bylaw. So would you give me permission so we can film?
That's so
awesome. In certain areas, you have to have high percentages. Like you have to have 80 to 90% in Mississauga. So you can't miss anyone.
Lynn, were you a little starstruck to see Ryan?
No, because I was there when he got the boot. I was in the audience when he got the boot, and Arissa asked us all not to boo. So yeah. So I don't know if I was starstruck, but I wanted him on my team because he knows more than I do. Absolutely. Makes sense. And I definitely found out while doing this that I would never make it in the house like I thought I would. Mm-hmm. No, I wear my shirt, my heart on my sleeve. I was really, really hurt when I saw that Ryan had started that other group and, kind of no loyalty or transparency, like he said that he did.
So if if he's leader of the pack or one of, then what were you thinking by like trying to go after him or putting it
Well,
out
no,
there
he
that,
was in my alliance before the other alliance started.
yeah.
April 15th.
But
I
then you,
boom had Ryan and Curtis in.
but then you
in an alliance.
realize that he was,
I never realized it until Jack blew everything up.
and at that point, what was your thought process? Did you think I have to get him before he gets me, or I have to tell other people that this is what's going on, or?
Well, you can't get him before he gets you because he's got safety.
Now he does, yeah.
And he had that then too for already 2 weeks or something. So, and actually, I gotta step back a bit. Ashley told us a secret in the sales department that she'd played previously. And as soon as she spit that out, I went over to Curtis and Ryan and told them. And then I went back to my sales department and Ashley says, and this, like, can you guys keep it a secret? I already told them, sorry. So at another date in the future, Ryan told Ashley that I had done that. So Ashley called me on it. And so it was just like, I went back to my group and said to Curtis and Ryan and CJ, and we brought CJ in at one point. I told them, like, one of you is freaking on the other side, and they all denied it. And, who'd you tell, and, maybe it just slipped, or maybe she's calling you on it because she's the mole. And in the end, I found out it was really Ryan.
Now, do you think that they are going after big targets in the game, or people who are just not on their side, or maybe trying to really narrow down who the mole is and trying to attack it from that angle? What do you think the majority of the house is trying to do right now?
I don't know, because I was told I was competition, and I can't figure that out, because other than going in the audience, and I go in the audience, so my friends are always saying, I saw you in the audience. I don't know the game fabulously well. I'm not a super fan. I don't do the live feeds and stuff like that. I'm a fan. And I obviously couldn't win for squat because I didn't win any challenges. I just lucked out on picking Sherry for my fast forward. And I thought I was safe. That's why I didn't use it. Curtis was the head of household. Curtis and I were in an alliance.
8:04 p.m. 8:04 p.m.
So did you, so you said that because you wear your heart on your sleeve, you don't think you'd be cut out for the real thing, but don't you think that maybe now you've learned a little bit of maybe how to use your strengths like in a different way that would make you be able to play differently and maybe come out on top the next time?
Oh, I might play this one again. I just don't think I'd ever get in the house. Yeah, I have learned a lot from it. Definitely. And like, I was never going to audition because I thought I was too old, but my niece was auditioning. And when we were there and we were in line, everybody was saying, oh my God, you've got to audition. You'd be great. Oh my gosh. And I saw Netta and Cindy and we were talking with them. And I said, my doctor would never clear me for this. I have a bum knee, I'm overweight. And they said, then go get another doctor. So it was just like, wow, and this is coming from Cindy and Netta. So it's just like, holy mackerel. And so I applied, but I wasn't ready because I was just there that day for the auditions. And suddenly I'm like going to audition. And all my friends and family tell me I'd be the first one evicted out because I'm a bitch. Like, I have my
I'd keep you around for sure. 100%.
So other than being an emotional person, I'm also like a bitch. So
good.
Yeah.
I'll sign up for that club. That's
Yeah, I swim with sharks. I'm not afraid of. Oh, that's what they asked me in my audition was, how do you feel about being the oldest one in the house? And I said, I swim with sharks. I'm not afraid of these teeny boppers. Like, and I probably act younger than they do. So I don't act my age. I don't look my age. So, they need to have one for over 40s though. They need to have a Big Brother over 40s.
Then I would win.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't.
So you say that you would play again, even if Andrew asked you, you'd be willing to go and put yourself through this?
Yeah, well, it would depend on I would never have been able to do it if it wasn't a pandemic. Because my hours in the business are 14, 16-hour days, and then I have drive time because I'm in Hamilton, and a lot of times you're working on the other, in Toronto and whatnot. I would never have been able to do it. If you're on set, you can't look at your phone, let alone answer texts or read things because confidentiality. You're just not allowed to have your phones unless your boss is going to be reaching out to you that way. So I doubt I'd be able to play it if I was back to work. I also have my own travel agency, as you can see down here on the bottom. So between the two, but if it was like, you know, something like this where there's lots of time, then yeah, I would do it again. Andrew's been asking me to do it since I think the first year he put it out there.
Well, for sure, like we all have played, you know, Cheesecake, and Jojo and I have played other versions, live versions of Big Brother. And like what we love about it is the fact that you actually really get so much more involved than you thought that it would be. And I feel like it's a really good representation of what I believe the show would be like. And so like I really love anybody that's willing to put themselves through this.
Yesterday I was just lost because there was no pinging on my phone to go look and see who said what this time. And it was just like, it was really a quiet day, and it was just like, that's not right. Yeah.
I don't know if I asked you yet, but who do you said you feel most betrayed by? Curtis and Ryan, was it?
Most betrayed probably after Ryan throwing Curtis under the bus. I'm going to say Curtis, if what Ryan said is true. Otherwise than Ryan, because Ryan told us, like the very first day we did it, you saw me on Big Brother Canada. I am completely loyal. I am transparent. Well, where was this transparency about the musical chairs? I didn't see any transparency. And you're the admin, so you weren't that loyal because you started up the other alliance.
Was there anything that you would do differently? Like, what? Like, is there one move or one conversation that you could have had? Like, is there anything that you think that could have saved you from this fate?
Using my fast forward this week, because that would have given me another week to have more people know more that I had to tell. You know, like Ryan throwing Curtis under the bus would definitely make, I actually did tell Curtis. So, you know, he's now more aware. I know that Nick was really mad at me because I blew his little secret of working with you guys out of the water. Because I don't know, maybe his alliance knew that he's been on Realnesss with you guys, but nobody else did. And so, boom, when I showed him, like I posted in my alliances, the videos, and they were all like, oh my God. And so like, yeah, so he wasn't happy with that. Brenda is a snake. She'll vote against whoever she becomes friends with. It's game, I get it. But I'm, you know, her and Jack were so tight. She did it to him. Then the other day she mentioned to me, I really want to start making some moves. Maybe I'll use my royal power of veto on you. And I didn't even think about it. So it was just like, you know, boom, sort of you get your hopes up a little bit. But I just wrote it off like she's not going to because it's Brenda. She didn't even vote for me. And we're in the same sales department. So.
Since you're so forthcoming, who do you want to see out next?
Brenda.
Ooh.
She came into the game not knowing the game. Yet yesterday, like 11 o'clock at night, she said, I pulled off a Jackson. I ate a whole watermelon in 2 days. How do you know pulling off a Jackson if you don't know Big Brother?
I mean, that's pretty specific.
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty specific.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she only has seen that season because I wouldn't be referencing any season
with Jackson
ever. Like Jackson, like no. But I wouldn't. Yeah, I would take that as maybe false.
And then I'm curious, since the mole kind of twist is coming to an end, do you think you know who the mole is at this point?
I do not. When I first came into the game, I thought it was either Megan or Brandon because they were laying low. And I thought, well, what a great way to get evicted is if you're not playing the game.
Who's Megan?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Megan, I mentioned you. So that was, and then Brandon started coming in and explaining how it's his work. He works at the hospital, so, you know, he's really busy. And then I didn't really, like the first week I wanted Megan out because she'd never even answered my welcome, you know, introduction. And then she finally, everybody was saying, well, she's so nice. So we did connect and she's a nice girl, but I don't think she has the mole in her. I don't know her, but she's just nice. She's just a nice girl. So I don't think she has the mole in her.
Now, are you rooting for anybody? Like, who or would you want to see win this season at this point?
At this point, Marcin or Nick.
Nice. Okay, well, this is all the questions that I have. Boys, do you have any other questions?
Why
read those notes? Because you forgot one for Jack the other day.
I did.
Yeah.
I could not wait to see your hair today. I was so excited.
Oh, it's not even.
No, it is
been
fabulous.
Off work for 2 months, so there's no. I have to do my roots, and
Don't worry, it's perfect. Why the 8:04? What happened? Why was the 8 o'clock? Why didn't you make the deadline for the fast forward?
I almost didn't make the deadline at all because I was just goofing around on the computer and binge watching TV. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, no. And I did make it like just right at 8, and I said I don't want to use it. And then now I want to use it. And according to my computer, it was only like 30 seconds different.
Okay.
But he was out and about doing whatever. He didn't answer me until like 26 minutes later. But he says on his computer it said 4 minutes after. He told me that he would reach out to Curtis if he could, but he didn't think that it would change.
Yeah.
I found out since then that he did reach Curtis, and Curtis said, no, I'm not letting her.
Well, do we know why? So what, maybe I missed it, but what was the deciding factor for you that you changed your mind at the last second?
Just after I said yes, my gut said, no, that's the wrong answer. So I tried to, change it. But, Curtis was, I thought, still with me because even though we knew about Ryan, we were still talking. And then, I heard Andrew on his video yesterday say that Curtis had said no. So I know that if I'd gotten a tie, which I was really pushing for with everybody with my campaigning, then it would be up to Curtis. I figured Curtis would have saved me. But I know now that he wouldn't have. Because he could have easily said to Andrew, yeah, it's okay. She realized,
Sneaky.
Yeah.
Oof.
So I definitely learned a lot. I am definitely missing the pings, but
Aww.
But I'll be watching you guys and keeping in touch with people to see what's going down.
Of course. And we're kind of...
I even promised Ryan that I would vote for him on week 10 because everybody's going to try and do a netta and get him out as soon as he's free. I promised him my vote, and he said, no, not good enough.
Wow.
There must be a lot going on behind the scenes, so we'll know
soon. Or out in the open. Either one.
Behind the scenes.
No.
Well, if you ever want to come back and chat with us about maybe further into the game, and we would get down to the jury phase and see, maybe we'll do maybe if Ryan gets evicted, you could be on the eviction episode.
Hey, he's playing well, so I wouldn't be upset if he won because he's playing well. I'm just upset that I'm the one that got duped.
Yeah.
We hear you.
Okay.
So we're so happy that you came and chatted with us. You are lovely. We enjoyed, you always had lots of positive comments to say on the videos. And I felt that you were, a very pleasant person to be interacting with throughout the game so far. Even though we didn't have that much interaction, I felt that you were a great addition to the house guest for sure. So I'm sorry that your journey with Big Brother Cheesecake 4 has ended, but we're happy to have you as part of the family.
Thank you very much. Live and learn. That's all I can say is live and learn.
Yes. Next time, you're going to be
all right.
Uno. Have a great day. We'll talk
all
to
right,
you
too. Take care.
Bye, Lynn.
Bye.
Lynn. What a lovely guest. I was so happy Lynn came on.
Yeah, Lynn really impressed me. She was incredibly personable. I feel like she would have had a strong social game in general. So I'm a little surprised that she went over CJ. I don't know. Maybe everyone loves the drunk content.
I don't know if that's the case. I think most likely is that Lynn probably started to play and she started to not maybe realizing what her revealing things were doing, and people might have started panicking and seeing that she's a little bit more of a loose cannon maybe, and that like they didn't know necessarily where she was going to go. She wasn't controllable maybe anymore, or she was going to maybe reveal too many things. I think that's the only really reason, because I feel she started to play the game, and I think that's probably started to scare people.
She was absolutely willing to call people out. Like she just did. Wow.
Wow.
Good job, Lynn.
When you get too close and someone realizes it, they're like, chop.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I mean, I haven't really heard much about CJ. I can't tell what her actual personality is with all the drunk content. No. So I don't know what her game is really right now. Like, do you guys have any clue of where the thin line of like her true self comes through?
CJ? God, no. I don't know what's CJ and what's Andrew. So
I don't know.
Not in my head, it's all CJ, but I know that's not accurate. But
really, you can suspend reality that much?
No, I can. I'm just taking Andrew for his word.
Instead of a true casting director, you really are able to like, you see the character, you see it.
Yes, I do see it. But I mean, like, yes, Andrew said last week that she was playing the middle ground, right? So she's probably less of a threat, and I actually don't think she will be next out either, because I think it's at that point where people need to start really going after some larger people.
Yeah, and CJ is clearly the mole, so I wouldn't take her out next either.
Yeah. No, neither would I. So do you think she's going to be on the block often now, CJ?
As a pawn, perhaps, but not as a target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think CJ may be, Lynn last year for a lot of us, where we can use her, work alongside her for like votes and stuff, but as much as a threat in competitions perhaps or anything else. So it's just when someone's very transparent too, that might help. So I just don't think she's much of a threat for people, and if she's smart, she'll work that angle into getting much farther. So
we'll kind of work kind of like memento here. We're going to go to the beginning of this week, and then we're going to come back to where we are right now. So back about a week ago, we learned, obviously, Curtis is the head of household. And this is the episode where Jack goes out in a bang. He kind of like Lynn this week, but he just kind of blows up all these alliances. He allows people into the secret society. And then Ashley allows people into musical chairs. Like, what do you guys feel about all these alliances blowing the F up?
I think that a game reset, as Andrew described, is possible. But looking at something like musical chairs, there's obviously 2 duos there and 1 single player out of the 5. Playing in duos and trios works, but you have to be sharing the intel all around, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if like being on the right side of the majority all the time is the best move. Personally, that's how I wanted to play, but I think you can show a little vulnerability by not being with the majority. And I think that helps too. So,
but that at the same time, at the end game, I don't think being on the wrong side of the numbers is something that I would say being like, you didn't even know which way to vote. So I think that I don't know if that would be a strong way to play and be like, I just voted against the number just so I didn't look like a threat, or I didn't look like I was siding with anybody, or like I think that would hurt down the line. But I can see it as a strategy for sure.
If you're thinking the first 4 or 5 evictions that you're evicting the mole at some point, maybe that could come into play, but I don't think the mole's been evicted. So,
well, yeah, we know that they haven't. So we talk about the counting has a fight. I don't know if this is like the first fight or the 10th fight. Like, I feel like they fight quite a bit. I don't really remember what that one was about, really. I guess it was about the blow up and about Brandon not being forthright with his information. He's being quite tight-lipped with his own accounting group.
Yeah.
Ryan kind of calling him out on it.
Kat and Brazil getting in there, showing some claws.
I really do think Brandon's game has been, speaking of transparent, you know, it's to me, it's like, I want to play like I'm the mole, you know, so no one evicts me, cause some problems, stir some stuff up. I mean, if he's working with people who are allowing that, then so be it. I'm not quite sure. But then at the end of the day, it's like you have to balance that with your actions. And he's taken steps this week to save himself, which he wouldn't be doing if he's the mole. So he's been playing like he's the mole, yet to be evicted, but yet he's been protecting himself at the same time. I mean, it's not well hidden, Brandon. So
less very risky, but like save yourself so people completely think that you're not the mole anymore,
and then next week
still the target. If you were originally going to be the target this week, save yourself, and then they just go harder for you because like now that they know that you are, you know, that you knew that he was going to be evicted. So
sure.
I mean that's risky.
Perhaps
it would be kind of a cool Hail Mary for the mole, if that's the right whatever sports reference.
Time is getting down to it, yeah. So
I mean, that'd be pretty cool if I was the mole and I was freaking out because I hadn't been evicted yet. I would probably have to try something like that because I don't know.
I initially thought that the Brandon Ryan fights were kind of staged, and that was their gameplay. That was a secret thing. But I think Brandon's blown up enough.
I thought
with Ryan that I think they've blown up enough that it's like, okay, maybe there is some actual beef there.
I don't know if that's still like, he may be working with them and they may be planning that still, even though like I think Brandon's game is transparent. I'm not sure if Ryan's game is yet. He might be.
It's hard to say, especially because he has that safety that like he is not necessarily playing like himself because like he doesn't have to. He can play whatever way he wants to because he's not in danger right now. We also had the prank or no prank. This is when we learned that Lynn got the no prank and got the 1 week fast forward that has to be played nomination. So that's it's a pretty basic like prize, I will say, but useful, super useful.
Useful if used properly. I mean, if everyone knows that you have this immunity, this safety for 1 week, do you take advantage and just use it for that week, get it over with? Or do you feel secure enough to hold on to it? I think if anybody else that had a tighter, felt secure in the game, felt like they were in it for the long haul, they might try and hold on to it.
Yeah.
Like my Emerald Tower veto, I held on to that until like final 7 or 6.
Yeah, but
I didn't have to.
People forgot also that you had it. We were targeting. Remember, like Krista was targeted because of her pre-start special power thing, and other people did as well. But you did a good job of like making people forget. And you're right, you didn't need to use it. So
you need to use it. Someone like Lynn should have been like, yes, sure, I'll take a week off, no problem. I would hope. Anyway.
Working with you though, that would have been something that I would have used 100% as a way to target you, like 100%. Yeah, so
absolutely.
I would have been like, well, let's make him feel safe and let's get him out. Like I 100%, and so
absolutely.
She should have maybe tried to weaponize herself in that sense and be like, I can be powerful on your side or whatever. Like, you know, you could do this anytime. Like you can use, like, I don't know, you could use it to get someone else out. I don't know. I would have used it as to my advantage a little bit more.
Or I would have taken it to the head of household and said, like, do I need to use it this week? And if you do put me up, I'm going to say to everyone, I asked you. Like I asked if I need to use this, I will. But I think that would have made a clear cut.
I am going to use it and call their bluff.
Sure, that too. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, it's kind of like how to play a hidden immunity idol in Survivor. Like, sometimes people just call their bluff so they don't use it and the votes get deflected. So, it's tricky, but it is a lot of power that she could have maybe used a little bit to her advantage with having it.
You don't want to go home with the idol in your pocket. So.
Never.
Better believe it.
If I had like even like a twinge of like I should use it, I'd use it. I'd just be like, I'd rather have egg on my face for not using this idol incorrectly than really having a whole carton of eggs on my face or having an idol in my pocket. Ooh.
No thanks.
And that's the same reason why I made a lot of my decisions last year, especially nearing the end with Jojo and whatnot. It's like, if I had my suspicions, but if I have to play it this way, and I'm either going to go home this week or next week, more than likely. So I'm going to play hard this week and see where it falls and my cards fall, and you know what I mean? And just have to force the narrative, because it's either going to work for you or against you.
Sure.
And you can't just, when you're given something like that, you can't just sit there and let things happen around you, because that's not really playing the game to its fullest.
100%. Definitely using those big twists or big advantages, like you have to use them. Or like I personally don't enjoy twists in general, or big twists like that, or big advantages. Twists I don't mind, because twists everybody's affected. But these little advantages, sometimes Andrew doesn't have that too many of them, and they are upfront, so it's kind of an equal playing field. But I've played other games where people can get stacked with these advantages, and you just have no way to combat against them, and I find that to be frustrating. So I wish that she used it to make this advantage be at least worthwhile for being in the game. You know, if it's not going to be a clean game, then use it. So we're on to day 25 now, and this is, Curtis has his nominations, and so Andrew was kind of complaining about the fact that he wasn't able to do any diary room sessions because he was on Dick at Night. And I just wanted to mention that, I want to be on Dick at Night. How do I get a shot on Dick at Night? Dick, I want to be on your show.
Put Chantele on.
Screen it.
And it's free. I've tried to go on it before, and it was paid, not to be on it, but just to watch it. And Andrew, I think, said it was free this season or this time period or whatever. I don't know. Which is great, because I'm a big fan of Evil Dick myself, and Danielle. That whole season to me is probably the best season of Big Brother.
It's not the best, but it's top 5 for sure.
For me, it was the best season.
Season 6 is the best.
Although I do love my Janelle as well, but it was. I need to look that up. It's free. I need to remind myself.
Maybe we'll all do that and go watch
Chantele on the show with Jojo.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just take pots and pans.
All go on. Let's all go on together and argue about which season's the best. I think my order is season 6, season 2, season 7, season 8.
Oh, controversial.
Ooh. Well, I obsessed with Dr. Will, and I remember I was 19, and I had ICQ, and I used to go on ICQ, and people would find the keys for me to get the free key to get on the internet to unlock the live feeds for free. And so then I figured out how to hook up my computer at that time before HDMI cables. And so I'd watch it on the TV. I'd watch the live feeds of season 2 all day long. And I was obsessed with Dr. Will, obsessed with Chilltown. I was obsessed with it. So that's the reason why
I'm literally the opposite. I thought I was in season 2. I'm like, wow, why did they cast just vile people who I dislike?
I loved Krista. I actually did love Monica. Monica, I was rooting for.
Monica, I'll co-sign that.
Yeah.
Krista was the one. What was his name? Justin had the knife.
Yeah.
I thought he was hot. Even though he had his messed up teeth, I was like, ooh, look at this danger scene.
Ooh, scary.
And I was like,
hurt me.
I was like, yeah, girl, you want it.
Oh.
And then when he got evicted from it, I was like,
Justin, please come to the diary room immediately.
I was like, she was into it.
Yeah, let it be. Give her NyQuil. And she was really into NyQuil too. She would get stoned in the house. I remember that. She'd be like, can I get some more Dayquil and NyQuil? Just downing it in the bathroom.
They were the best representation of people for sure. Obviously, this was almost 20 years ago, so our
I'm surprised season 3 doesn't match up for you as much, because I thought season 3 had some really good gameplay.
Season 3, I probably would have liked it more if Danielle had won.
Yeah.
I didn't like Lisa winning in the end just because they're all bitter and because of
But she held on to that key in the rain, in the water, whatever it was.
That pool.
Yeah, and it was like, that was my moment. I was always iffy with her out of that whole alliance. So I was like, she was my favorite out of those people. But the end, she won me over with her sheer determination. I'm like, that
Loved Danielle.
is like, hold on to, just play hard, really try to win, all that kind of stuff. So
when it was from that point forward, there was a sequestered jury because like people were, able to see what she said, the diary rooms and this and that, and that was able to make them be bitter towards her when they didn't leave the house, not like unhappy with her. So, I mean, she definitely changed the course of the game. She's probably the best player that has never won. I don't know if there's anybody else that really holds that title, in my opinion, right now. That I can think of anyways. But anyways,
Danielle. Danielle strategically. Oh, right. Yes. No, Paul. Sucker. 2 years in a row.
Yeah, all my favorite seasons are before season 8 anyways. So like I like all of those better than all the ones after. Obviously everybody likes, Dan's funeral, blah, blah, blah. So that gets up there, but that's probably like my number 9th season favorite. I like
full ranking to come, people.
Oh,
full ranking.
Was that an off-season podcast?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yes. We can go into that. Right now, we are into day 25 of Big Brother Cheesecake 4. So, Curtis has his nomination. So, who did he nominate? He nominated
Brandon and
Lynn. Andrew decides to go against his cardinal rule of watching us on the big screen, which I was like, thanks, Andrew. That's really sweet. But it is a slippery slope. I definitely know it because at my mom's house, I always watch YouTube on the TV. And then I just like sit there and like the next video just comes on, the next video comes on. And yes, you end up watching 9 hours of like
wormhole.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'm pleased that we were allowed for Andrew to break his YouTube cherry with us. Yay! Yay. I didn't know that how he felt about me calling it a family show. I actually thought that was really funny. I laughed when he said, "What kind of family show is this?"
It's a dysfunctional family show. How about that?
Yeah.
Very.
What do you think about Jack for All Stars? They talked about that a bit too.
Jack for All Stars?
People were saying that Jack should be on All Stars.
I mean, so I think I kind of know what Andrew's quota is for All Stars, and from what he told me last year, and it was, you have to, like, winners are always invited, and then the people who win the most kind of competitions or cause like a big stir. I mean, generally speaking, you're more known if you win a lot of competitions. You're probably in the game longer, so it probably comes hand in hand. But like Jojo, how many competitions did you win last year?
I won 5 head of households and
like that,
3 vetoes or 2 vetoes.
Like that's what I'm saying. If you win those numbers, I mean, and you came in 3rd place, it's
a little bit different than no competitions coming in 14th.
So I think
if anyone wants to make a pre-alliance, contact me. We'll make it the final 8.
Only bus drivers.
Only transit. Lynn, you and I, final 2, Lynn. Rhonda, you're in here too. Charlene, Chad? No. It's not gonna happen.
So what do you feel about Lindsay not having her voice revealed? Do you think it's the winning path? Do you think that's
could be
on brand?
Yeah, I like the fact that I haven't heard from Lindsay yet, to be honest.
Well, and he kind of was like, it was a little shady, Andrew, a little shady, because he was like, well, when there's something to talk about, I will. And and it was like, well, you haven't won anything and you haven't been a part of like, main kind of reasons why certain blow-ups have happened or anything like that. So he's not going to force a narrative, if it comes, it comes. So. It's not a bad thing, though.
I do have a question for you guys, though. because when I had my head of household, like I didn't have to make an order or anything. Does he make the order of the how he reads out the people safe, or is that like done by the head of household?
I gave orders. I gave an order every time.
Oh, I never did.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I don't think you have, like, it's not,
Because
you don't have to, but
reading into it and being like, ooh, that person was first. Ooh, that person was next. Like, was that intentional or was it Andrew? That's kind of one thing that I was curious about.
I think it's, I don't want to say it's one or the other, but I think it's just the type of player that you are. I think some people want to hear that they're safe right away.
So you think that the head of household has been choosing the order?
I did, and I know other people did. I don't know anything about this season and their orders, so I think Curtis did. Yeah, I do. Oh. Sorry, Curtis. I do.
So we know that Brandon and Lynn are nominated. Were you surprised by these nominations?
Brandon's got a lot going on. Curtis made that pretty clear.
Yeah, I thought the only thing that told me was that he was almost certain that Brandon wasn't the mole, because I was like, oh, that's a big question mark last week for me. Is Brandon the mole? Is what's happening, because of, him trying to get himself evicted. And then this week for him to be on the block, I was like, oh, that's very interesting, because, I mean, maybe it was a way to test him to see if he will play for veto and try to win. And so I was unsure as to what the motivation behind that was. But it was interesting.
I have to say, though, I even made a note here that Andrew's South African accent is much improving. I think
it's a hard one.
YouTube
That's
video.
Hard to do.
Maybe.
I can't really do it very well, but it's hard.
I was just thinking maybe he thinks like he's got to get really good at it because Curtis is going to be around for a while. So.
But yeah, maybe he's been watching South African YouTube videos on his television.
getting his dialect.
Getting his dialogue, practicing his words.
Yeah.
So playing for the veto is going to be Curtis, Ryan, Pat, Ashley, Brandon, and Lynn.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of on to, you lost your video, you know that, right, Jojo?
Sorry.
You just want
20% battery.
There you go.
You and your battery. Okay, so that'll be our template for you. So day 26 happens. More Brandon and Ryan drama. I just put question mark, question mark, question mark.
Exactly, same thing written.
Out Brandon. So it's interesting that Brandon's getting called out so much.
And he was nominated on his birthday. Like, savage. Savage.
Ew. Savage. Yeah, that totally sucks. But did people know it was his birthday? Like, I'm sure he didn't divulge that until after, no?
I don't know. I don't know anything about his info on Facebook. Might have been a notification for somebody, but probably not.
Nothing really happened, like, in that draw. Like, I can't really tell what the drama is. I don't know if you guys have the same opinion, but I don't particularly like either Ryan or Brandon's voice, that it actually makes me dislike both of those characters. So hearing them fight, it actually makes me angry. I'm just like, whatever, like some of the points, I'm like, well, that's a good point. That's a good point. If I actually just listen to it and take away their voices. Yeah. But when I hear their voices and I picture who I think would have that particular voice saying that particular thing, it gets so underneath my skin that like, I'm just like, I hate you both. I hate you both. Yeah. And like, I don't hate Ryan and I don't hate Brandon. And I don't hate what they have to say, but the combination is just like, I don't know. It's just makes me really angry. Do you guys love that?
I mean, I would go back to day 24 when Joanne's voice came back for Brazil. That drove me nuts. Because day 24, I have written down, when Brazil finally had something to say, good job, Brazil, Joanne made her third appearance in the game, the tittied, slutty Joanne. I think there's so much Brand and Ryan content, and even that in itself is like, holy shit, is there any other drama going on? I know that there is, obviously. But the combination together is not fun.
But I'm still trying to figure out who Ryan's voice is, because Andrew said it's someone and he wasn't going to say who. And it's not at the tip of my tongue, but I feel like it's just in the recess of my mind somewhere, and I'm trying to determine it. So I want to hear more of it, just so I can like pinpoint exactly who it is.
Is it someone from? Are they both people from The Office? I mean, I was thinking that Ernie. I still think
Brandon is. He's Stanley Hudson. That's the voice.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't remember what Ryan's was.
It's like this old, like, I don't know, when Andrew does this thing, and I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to do it right now.
Oh, practice for next week.
No, God, no. I hated my voice last year. So, and Jojo, I didn't like yours either. Let's be honest.
I hated it.
Because you have such a life and personality. To be a robot,
it was awful. I was so descriptive with my words.
I
try and get to the part.
Equally as much as all of you. I didn't even know that it was Miss Piggy until like after the game was over. I was like, that's what that was?
Yeah.
There's certain voices that I really like. And I actually like Nicole's or Charlene's. Joanne, I mean, sorry. Yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of voices that I like. Lynn's from last year.
Yeah.
The Scottish. And so, yeah, I mean, I like some of them that are recurring, but I was like I'm the farthest thing from a gangster Sopranos. You know what I mean? That was mine last year. I was like,
yeah.
No.
So we get the description of, or the how to play the new head of household, the veto competition, and it's going to be Big Brother Scrabble. And I'm a big Scrabble fan, so I am down with Scrabble. So basically, the house guests are going to receive 9 consonants and 7 vowels, and they have to create the best word.
Yeah.
So they're able to swap out 6 tiles. Now, I wasn't fully clear. I'm sure he explained it to the house guest, but I wasn't fully clear. Like, so you get 6 tiles that you can do like one at a time, and you can do it 4 times throughout the day, or or you can do up to 6 tiles 4 times a day. Or
yeah, I wasn't sure either. I think he probably told them, but like left that out of the specific.
This Scrabble was clearly a disaster in general.
Well,
I'm skipping ahead to day 27. I'm like. Even hearing about it, I'm like, how is he going to...
It's hard to police, and I know he said he tests everything out, but it's like, you're always going to find people who are cheating and attempting to. Personally, I don't mind that. I think cheating's part of the game. If you can get away with whatever you can get away with, do it. But be careful, because you might be caught like that. But I'm... Personally, as a viewer and as a participant, I didn't mind when people were cheating last year. Maybe because probably I knew about it while it was going on. But you know, fine.
My attention. Somebody messaged me, and they let me know that there was a clue that was able to be understood about the identity of the mole that was revealed within this past week. And I wonder how you two feel about this information.
How do I feel about this information? Yeah, I think if you caught it, you caught it. That's all I say.
I mean, and it goes in line with what I've been saying. You need to keep your eyes open. It all will be revealed. That's part of the mole, is that there are clues that you can piece together and figure it out. And now it's getting down to it. So I think it's becoming more and more apparent as to who it is. And if you are good enough to have spotted what you needed to spot, then you know what you need to do or not do.
Most of us are well aware of who the mole is, and so if we know, then you could very well know as well. So just be wary.
You have been caught, mole, by us at least.
Definitely been caught, and you are not going unknown and unannounced by others in this house because it was pointed out to me. Just saying. Anyways, back to day 27.
Back to 27.
The big disaster veto.
Can I just say that tiramisu that Megan was making literally had me on the floor.
I think it's
I loved it.
Right now, Jojo.
It's because I'm starving. I actually am leaving now to go and have dinner. It's ready. My partner is right here. Wave, honey. Hi. He's starving too. You guys, love you all. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of it. Talk to you soon. Bye. Leave.
Okay, so the big disaster veto. So obviously Andrew is pulling up the Megan song and Megan with the tiramisu.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I was watching it too, and I'm like, my grandmother makes a really delicious trifle, and it was there was enough similarities that I was on board. I was like, let's do this. And I was wondering if Andrew was just making up what he thought was in that picture, or if that was actually what was in that picture. But either way, I was okay with it. I was like, delicious. I think you should have a reunion party when this is all over and invite me and bring that.
I don't like sweets. I like salty. So I don't really, like, if I want to have a dessert, it has to be kind of flavorless. Like, I don't like sweet stuff.
Oh, I mean, the sweeter the better. I think I pass out with like a sugar coma most nights. So
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even know the last time I had like a chocolate bar.
Daily. For me?
If I have chocolate, it's like dark chocolate. 90%.
Oh God. No. No, I've today already have had nibs, Mr. Big, and a chocolate ice cream bar.
What?
So healthy. This is why I'm gaining weight in isolation. But it was dark chocolate, and that's why I thought it tasted like crap. So you would have liked it though, because you either like dark chocolate or you don't. But
yeah, well, dark chocolate with salt is really, I like that a lot. But I usually go for dark chocolate over any other type of chocolate personally. Favorite chocolate bar is Twix. I like Mr. Big, it's not bad, and I like Wonder Bar. And those M&Ms that we will talk about soon, those are pretty good, actually, to be fair. Okay, so Megan, we have a little Megan song because Megan wants to fade into the background. She's
Hi,
in
Megan.
the foreground. Going to happen. Sorry, Megan. And so in Andrew's description of the veto competition, he did say that there was going to be a twist. And so Nick was asking whether or not everybody can participate in this secret twist or secret advantage. I feel like it wasn't really made clear as to what it was or what happened in this twist.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it came into play because of whatever reason. So it was there, it didn't happen or whatever, and so we're not going to talk about it and move on. I think that's kind of what he was saying. So I don't know. We don't know much about it. I don't know if it's a missed opportunity for people or if it just didn't work out for whatever reason, but yeah, I mean, who knows?
So there's a lot of the commotion about this big disaster veto was about the Scrabble generator. And okay, it is an at-home game, so I feel that the Scrabble generator should be allowed. Like, I don't think it should be like a cheating or not cheating thing. But I think that you need to use words that you know, that would be in your vocabulary. Like, none of those words, maybe Jezebel, but it's still a questionable word, whether it's going to be a proper noun or not, as we talk about later on with the other, accounting department fight. But like, these words that you can't pronounce, you can't have in a sentence, and you have to look up the meaning of, I do not think that should be a valid word. So if you're going to use the Scrabble generator just to maybe get some quick ideas as to like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that word, and just like, figure it out. I'm like, oh, that's not, like, I would never think of that word. Like, I think that if they're going to use it, they need to use it for a word that could be believable that they came up with. What do you think?
I mean, it's a tough one. I think it was a good idea. But I play Scrabble with Lynn from last season all the time. But, I just don't think there's a way of policing it. And like he said, it's just not going to happen again because, you can't do it. So it's unfortunate. I mean, and here's the thing: if Andrew told me last year you can't use it, I'm not a cheater, so I
wouldn't use it if he said not.
Yeah, and I agree, and I wouldn't want to win that way either. So, but at the same time, I don't know that I would trust everyone. And if my neck was on the line, desperate people do desperate things. I don't know.
Well, at the same time, though, if he said not to do it and someone cheated, they wouldn't have used real big words that would have been very obvious that
exactly.
they with. So,
yeah.
like, it would have still, I think it still would have like panned out. I don't think they would have had these 30 point words, because they would be like, oh, that's not believable. He said I couldn't use generator. There's no way I know oxybatika daga 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 word, you know? Like, I don't know that word, so I'm not going to use it. I think it still would have forced them to be a little bit more in integrity, even if they were going to use the generator, if they said they couldn't, you know? Yeah, I think you should have put that in and see what happens then, as opposed to not, because they didn't cheat. And his example, though, with looking in the binder, like, that would blatantly be cheating. So, like, it's not like they said,
oh, look at this here, I'm gonna grab it.
Like, that's definitely wrong.
Yeah,
just because they left their binder out doesn't mean that they were saying it's a free-for-all. Anyways, I didn't feel like it was a fair comparison, but it's showing integrity.
A tough one. I mean, last year, Andrew, to clear everything up, I did not cheat last year. Unless, well, maybe a little bit, unless trying to help people once I was out of the game counts. But the Julian hacks of last year, there was one which I had every intention of doing, but it didn't work out at the last second. And I'm like, I'll just do it myself. And it was one of the competitions that I lasted in right until the end, until I decided to give up anyway. So it was fine. Yeah, I mean, there was no real cheating that had an outcome, like a different outcome last year. Like, it was attempted, but nothing really came of it, or it didn't change anything, I should say. So, I mean, it's always going to happen, and I probably think it's a good thing, though, that Andrew decides to move on from this next year. It's just not feasible.
I like Scrabble, so, like, I like games like this. I like winnable games. I like games that are not chancy. So, like, I hate taking away this type of game just because of the fact that, like, you're able to use a word generator.
Yeah, but or maybe there's like an altered version of it that he can come up with that's like, you know, Scrabble's sister or something that can be more under control somehow. So.
Yeah, I'm going to workshop it for him, because I don't want to lose Scrabble just because of, you know, it just didn't work out.
Yeah, come up with some ideas. Might be something.
So yeah, I don't think of these people as cheaters, but in the end, they basically, he called like a house meeting, and he had them decide whether or not they wanted to go with the highest point scorer, or if they wanted to have just a draw random rocks as to who's going to win the power. What would you have done in that situation?
I would have gone random, because I mean, I think it really depends if you kind of know if you agree with one side, if it's going to go your way or not. So, I mean, if that was the case, then I would have done what I've had to have done to get what I want to happen. But I wouldn't have been afraid to make it random.
And if you were Ashley,
this early on in the game, yeah.
Do you think Ashley made the right decision there for herself? Like, because she was the deciding vote that made it, that they kept the points or whatever.
Points. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to determine, because, like I said, you don't know what everyone's intention is. And they might know some things kind of behind the scenes, like who it's going to go to. They might have deals with those people. It's hard to say. I mean, it is still, although they're a month into it, I still think it's early on. And you don't need to be making like big moves or cutting certain people. And so just safer moves overall is probably what's best for everyone, because you don't want to just bring the attention to you right away. Because then, what are we on? The 5th HOH is coming up soon, or yeah, it's like that's that's really when the game starts to be played. I think once the mole thing's over, and then it'll be like a different shift in the game, and people will start, and all the not weaker people, but all of the people who aren't aligned with the bigger alliances kind of leave the game. It comes down to it, and we really start to see a battle and a fight for when, again, last year when it was that endurance comp, and these people haven't had an endurance comp yet, so get ready not to sleep. And we had that one where it was me, you, and Alvin left that went on for like 29 hours or whatever it was. Like that was such a key. If you guys didn't win that, although I was in your alliance,
Alvin would probably have been gone for like.
I would have made it I was putting you and Alvin up for the sole purpose of Alvin to be gone. Yeah.
We knew that, but then it was also really risky to have. I thought it was risky for me to be up there in that moment because, like, Lynn would have kept Alvin, and there's some people that were definitely going to be siding with him. So I definitely.
The only reason I was like, fine, I'll give it up, is because I'm like, if for whatever reason, and I could have gone another day, but I'm like, if for whatever reason I lose, then you guys will see me as such a threat that you'll want to get rid of me right away and forget that we have this alliance going. And I was really threatened by your other fourth player, because I knew you and her had a connection. But so I was like, I have to split this all up, and these people need to go. But yeah, I mean, anyway, it really depends on what's happening behind the scenes, and I don't think big moves need to be made just yet, but really soon they do.
When I wrote this down when he was reading out the words, and what's with the new ticker? 2 days ago, he has the new ticker screen bar that comes up on the screen. I was like, production value gone up.
Someone's sponsored by something. Yeah.
Season 4 tickers starting episode, I think 26 is the first time we see the ticker. I was pretty impressed by the ticker. But I was laughing so hard when those words came up, though. I was like, guys, just like be a little bit more discreet if you're going to use a word generator. But anyways, it wasn't clarified whether they could or they couldn't, so I understand.
Yeah.
Them just trying to get a big word. So day 28. Oh yeah, Brandon ends up winning now this veto competition.
There you go.
Basically was given to him. Basically, Ashley gave him that because and same with Lynn, because they knew what his point value was.
Yeah.
So they basically just allowed him to have that. I don't know. I think I would have since he's on the block, so they know that somebody else is going to have to go up. I would probably want to leave it to chance. So at least then one of the two nominees may not get that. But anyways,
exactly.
They were thinking something different.
I agree.
And with that win, Brandon wins the Railroads for a future Monopoly veto competition. Is veto, right?
Yeah, though I never played that, but I collected some properties. Oh, guys, you have to win the good properties. Let me tell you, when Andrew says they're available, go for those competitions, because the Monopoly will come up at a pivotal time in the game, and you need the most properties that you can have and the better ones in order to win that. So, not winning certain competitions, fine. Playing more of a social game, great. But at the same time, I'm like, make sure you or someone you are really close to is winning those pieces, because it will definitely come up in the top like 5 or 6 or whatever.
Something like that. So on the day 28. Talking more about the word generator and if it was cheating, and Jezebel should or should not be allowed. That was like the fight that was going on in the accounting, I believe. And kind of Ryan was pulling up that Jezebel was considered to be a noun. That's kind of, those should have been definitely clarified in the rules, I would say. It's just an oversight for sure, because it could be considered both. Like his example of Kleenex and tissue was very, it was true. So, I don't know, maybe Brandon shouldn't have won because it was against the rules,
Yeah. I mean, ultimately it's up to Andrew. I think it's his game. So
yeah, for sure.
He's the referee when it comes to this and making those calls.
Exactly.
And you just, if something's questionable, I mean, need to be. And that's the other thing too, is like, not to say, be fake or suck up to Andrew, but you definitely don't want to be pissing Andrew off, because I think he's going to play, I will say this, he's going to play a very fair and safe game, whether he likes you or he doesn't. But, make it everything all fair. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt.
Day 29 happened. Oh, no, 28. Where are we? Yeah, Lindsay gets a shout out finally, but no voice. And Andrew made it very clear that there's no voice that's going to be happening with her. Lynn does her speech, whatever, as to whether or not she's going to be saved by Brandon, which obviously we know that's not going to happen. And CJ is the replacement nominee because Brandon uses the power of veto on himself. No surprises there. I didn't think there's a shot of Lynn getting him to use it on her. So now the nominees are Lynn and CJ. Dun, dun, dun.
And with Lynn having been on the one side of the house and CJ being in the middle, it's kind of obvious to me as to who people were probably going to go for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So day 29 happens. We have CJ and Lynn, obviously, as the nominees. Lynn gets there's the 9 to 5 song. Or what is that? Oh, she's drunk. So is it Lynn? What happened? No, Lynn gets the 9 to 5 song. And I did fast forward it. I'm sorry, Andrew. It was too long and I didn't have time.
I watched it, but I forget it. So what does that mean?
Oh, no, he just working 9 to 5. Like, he was just talking about her going back to work. I don't know, something like that. CJ, I had to fast forward drunk CJ. I'm sorry, Andrew. He mixes the red wine and the white wine in CJ's little...
I'm concerned if CJ lasts in this house, Andrew may have an alcohol dependency issue.
Yeah, I just want to know if you thought that he was actually drinking booze or if it was like food colored or whatever.
No, he's going for it.
Thanks.
He's going for it. Yeah. He's having a good night.
Andrew, yeah, be careful, Andrew. The white wine. Are you getting hangovers every morning? Is that why sometimes they're really late, those videos?
Yeah.
What was I gonna say here? So he explains the rules to Big Brother Ping Pong, and I love this game. I didn't get to play it last season, but I definitely enjoy. It's basically you're going to be guessing the values. So you get a sample size, and you have to guess how many are in a cup. And
oh my god,
basically the
I played last year.
Are evicted, and then everybody's going to get points allotted. So this is for a head of house competition. I believe the last year it was for a veto competition, so not as many people played. And he wanted to raise the stakes for this one. So Park Place and Boardwalk, kind of like what you're saying here, Jonathan, were up for grabs with the winners of this competition.
Yeah, I like that competition as well because I'm so terrible at it. I mean, I won 3 vetoes last year, but I don't think that was one of them because I'm pretty bad at it. So it's just like, you'll have like, these are 3 grapes. This is a cup full of grapes. How many grapes? I'm like, you have 7,000 grapes. I don't know. I always guess way low, so I try to double my guesses. But it's a fun game, and you used to have at bake sales when you're a kid and stuff like that. Like, how many gumballs are in this jar, and then you can win. Not even close. Terrible at it.
I'm usually good at those type of things because I always just like double or triple what I initially think it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's basically how you have to do it because for whatever reason, I think we kind of just see like the outside layer. We don't see that it goes in.
And then I do that for other ones and it's like way over because I'm like, God, these are thicker or rounder. I don't know. I'm horrible at it. I'm not good.
Well,
know your faults. Know your faults.
That's hard. Actually, it is a hard one because you can't tell. But I thought that this competition was really hard and like they did not have a very good grasp on those concepts for sure. So day 30 comes around and it's a happy birthday, Jojo. You're not here anymore. You're eating dinner, but yesterday was Tuesday. No, Tuesday was Jojo's birthday. So on day 30, so Andrew gave him a little bit of a shout out, a little Torin. And I feel that, oh yeah, this is what I was writing about, how I feel like the voices of Brandon and Ryan made me just so angry that I just was like, I just hate you guys, you suck. Like, but it could just be the content of like their arguments. I'm like, I'm over it.
Yeah, it needs to move on past that. I agree. It's kind of like old news.
So Ryan thinks Nick is the mole. Sorry?
I was like, let's have some new juicy fights, you know?
Yeah, maybe something new, but things might switch up a little bit depending on how this week goes. But I think this week there's still going to be a little bit of fighting. There has to be, but I guess like Brandon's going to be safe, so that's interesting for sure. But I wonder if there'll be some like, who should Ryan put up? Kind of arguments in their group. That will be more interesting, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Ryan thinks Nick is the mole, which is, I didn't like. Why do you think he thinks that?
I haven't seen or heard from anyone and that anything that Nick has done to really stir the pot or do anything that you would think that the mole would do. But I mean, maybe he has his valid reasons. Maybe there's conversations that he's had with people. I think anyone who's kind of trying to play low key at this point is probably not the mole. Not saying that Nick's doing that, but Nick kind of was strong at first and then kind of you haven't heard too much of. And again, behind the scenes, who knows? But so maybe it was just he was suspicious because of that. But again, it could literally be anything.
I guess it maybe
any number of conversations.
The musical chairs blow up. I think Nick was the odd man out in that group for something. Anyways, that's probably why it's something to do with that. Maybe because he didn't know about that. Oh, I don't know. Everything's so muddled anyways in that house. So they have their final eviction speeches. So Lynn wishes that she could be molded as a tool. And I wrote down that CJ says something incoherent. I don't know what CJ said. And in the end, by a vote of 7-3, Lynn is evicted from the Big Brother Cheesecake 4 house. And so we did have our little interview with Lynn, and I thought it was a really great interview. And I thought that she was, she took it on the chin really well. And she did campaign hard in the end, is kind of what Andrew was saying, that she didn't want to go. She didn't lay down and die and just accept her fate. Like she was scraping, trying to stay in the game. So I appreciate that.
I guess we didn't ask her who her 3 votes were. I wonder if she is like well aware or maybe some follow up.
Yeah, and I wish that she had just said that she used it at 8:00 instead of 8:04. Like, I know that she kind of explained that it was like, took a while for Angie to call back and like respond. And then she goes back to Curtis and Curtis said no. So that really sucks, especially because her gut told her to switch that. And her gut was right in this case. So that's something that she's probably going to relive over and over again. Like, why didn't I go?
And I would just say, unless in this game, and I think many reality games, is if you aren't in the know, you have to assume that you're in trouble. So sometimes even if you think you know what's going on, you don't. But unless you're the one who's plotting, planning, working alongside people, I think you're at risk. So if you aren't sure, safe than sorry, And she was mentioning how her phone's not beeping as much and all that kind of stuff. There is a withdrawal period, which is such a weird experience to have. And if you haven't played the game, you don't know it, but it's where you're like, what's happening with my life? It's drastically changes. So
I know I do I've always been a texter. I always like, messaging back and forth, like all day, all night. Like I do like that, but I don't get other things done. So that's one thing that I don't like about playing these games, is that like I do get involved and I am chatting back and forth. And like a quick conversation ends up being a 6-hour conversation back and forth and finding this out and talking to this person, going back and relaying this information. Like it actually, you do get a lot more involved than you're expecting to get in. Like, and people are like, well, how do you play online if you don't talk to people?
Oh my God. Me and Jojo, I mean, I would talk to everyone, but me and Jojo spoke every single day, every single night I'd be like down in the gym on the elliptical, and I'm like, yeah, going through plans and stuff like that. But yeah, and it's I think me and Lynn spoke a hell of a lot, and and everyone else too. But it's very time consuming. So it's a lot. So get ready. You're a month into it, and I would say the first month was pretty easy for me, my perspective. But it was really month 2 that was the most difficult and the most time consuming and the most frustrating and the most hectic. And then the third month was me just knowing that I was going to be evicted soon. But and yeah, so it's coming. It's at its peak real soon, guys.
So we get the results of the Big Brother ping pong for the head of household, and I was kind of like halfly playing along, but not really. And these were actually quite hard. What were you gonna say?
I just flashed and remembered something. So I was wondering why Ryan went so high. And then I was thinking, oh, who is he working with? Because if I was doing this game, I would say, with several people, I would have been like, you go high, I go lower what I think it is. And then we have our both ends covered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that really told me that he's definitely was working with someone in that game. Because it was too high for an average guess, unless he was trying to throw it. Yeah, I don't believe for a second that he wasn't working with someone. So it was interesting.
So the result, I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but there was 148 marshmallows. There was 48 mini wheats. There was 1,721 peas. There was, did I not write this down? I don't know if I write down for the peanut butter M&Ms. How many? 205. The couscous though, the couscous makes me, I'm worried about you, Andrew. I'm worried about you because I was worried with the grains of rice of last year being, 17,000. But Andrew, like, how long did it take you to get to 151,255 grains of couscous?
Yeah, I think that's a rough estimate. I think he probably measures a sample out of like 100. 100. How much does 100 weigh to be? And then, or 50 or whatever, and then just times that. I mean, they all are going to be the same weight pretty much. So you can figure out how much it is, right, as a whole. So 100 weighs whatever it weighs.
I don't know. I can just picture him with tweezers.
No, I mean, honestly, the rice, I thought he did count it like that. And then I was like, wait a minute. He could have just weighed that out. So
I don't know. I mean, I would rather...
Tell us, Andrew. Tell us.
I'd rather believe that he counted them out one grain at a time. But yes, it does make more sense that he just weighed the sample size. Do you think he weighed it for all of them? Or do you think... Because, like, I've had to prepare a similar competition to this, and I did count them all out. Like, I never really went higher than about 1,000.
I think he counted them, and he counted them twice, minus that.
That one.
So those M&Ms, he was like, counting. Now they're mine. I'm going to eat them. But... and everything else he probably counted a couple times to make sure that he was accurate. Yeah.
Man, though, when I saw that number, I was like, Andrew. It's like,
who's gonna guess that? I know. I was like, oh, I'm terrible with that. Although the mini wheats or whatever it was, I guessed 50. I was playing along, guys, and it was along with Brazil. We guessed 50, but it was 48. I was close. But.
So with a guess, so the high guess that you were talking about, I think he was high and Marcin was decently low, like around 3,000 or so. And Ryan, I don't remember what his number was, but it was quite high. Not nearly as high as this.
No, I think Ryan's was like 7,800 something or something like that. Yeah.
Not close to being high enough. But Ryan does take home the W with this one. He is the winner of this head of household. He does win Park Place and Boardwalk. And just a little quick synopsis of today's video. So we get to see Ryan's head of household room, and it was kind of a little play off of The Office with some going up and down fake stairs scene. It was kind of funny, to be fair. And Ryan wrote a letter from his son that Andrew played out. And we got the pranker prank. So prank or, wait, what's it called? Prank or no prank.
Prank or no
And
prank? Yeah.
Kat picks the grape prank or no prank option, and she had been picking cherry up until then. Changes to grape because Lynn got the cherry last week, and it happens to be a prank, and her prank is pretty annoying, but she loses her eviction vote for the next 3 nominations or ceremonies or evictions, whatever you want to call them. That's kind of crummy. 3 weeks.
Yeah, I remember when 1 week was like difficult last year. I lost my vote for 1 week as well. But 3 weeks is tough because you are no longer good to people necessarily. You know, you can't even be like, well, you got my vote. People aren't going to be making those connections or relationships. So you better hope that you have those established already, because it's going to be, you'll need people to help you carry on. So
Hundo. So yeah, it's been a pretty eventful week, not gonna lie. I've been enjoying it obsies. I'm kind of excited to see what happens with Ryan in power now, since he's been in the hot seat quite a bit with his drama in the accounting department, and with him having this safety. It still will be very interesting to see how he's going to use it to line himself up better for his end game, because he does get to jump right into the end game pretty much, or at least the middle.
yeah, and Ryan's on my team. So, speaking of teams, how are we all doing?
Can you? I don't have it. Oh my God.
I have it right in front of me. I would just say that my team is untouched. Thank you very much. All 5 of us are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Jojo has just lost Lisa. And you have now unfortunately lost Lynn and Susie. And Jack was not part of our teams. He was the one left unpicked. You're down to Ashley, Brandon, and Curtis.
I'm not feeling that great about my team anymore. But I guess like they're going to stick around for a little bit, but I'm going to be hanging my hat up on just 1 or 2 of them at this point.
Guys, I'm very proud of my team. If you're listening, if you're watching this, good job. Keep it up. Don't let me down. Thank you. It's okay. I mean, all you need is one. All you need is one to win the game.
All I need is one, and I may have it. But I'm glad you decided to remind us of that.
I thought we'd recap, you know.
Well, you're doing great. I don't think you have anybody that's really in danger. Let me see again. Who are your people?
I have
Nick. You got some good people for sure. Your team is really
Nick, Megan, Ryan, Marcin, and Lindsay. So, who else is safe this week? But I mean, Kat, Brazil, Brandon are all safe. Oh yeah, who's he gonna put up?
I don't know. Hopefully, people from.
So interesting. This will be good. This will be a good nomination.
Exactly. Dun, dun, dun. Well, that's all we really have for you this week, guys. Thanks for tuning into Reality Realness with 3 S's. You can find me at Fran, or you can find Jonathan at
Jonathan Oliveira 1983.
Perfect. Make sure you subscribe right down below. Hit the like button if you like this video. Please ring that bell so every week we can bring you a new video. And of course, we'll see you next week. Enjoy your week. Bye.